Okay, hey ladies, here I am for my second part 2 of my labor and delivery story, and I did not run upstairs and do a wardrobe change really fast. This is the next day. I'm still learning how to do videos on my nice Canon. I have a Canon Rebel T2i. I'm still learning how to take them and time them and make sure the battery is not dying and the card's not dying, and so anyway, so I'll try to keep better on the time because I totally went over. So starting where I left off in my last video about the sterile water, when they put the needles in, it hurt. Like, they told me it was gonna hurt. They told me to hold my husband's hand. It hurt so bad that I started screaming and crying, and I felt like such a baby. They pushed them in, and then they just kept going, and they kept going, and they kept going, and it felt like I had needles going clear through my back. I don't know much about this. I haven't done any research on it, and so this is just how it felt to me. I'm not saying this is necessarily that they put it in my bone. I don't know exactly where along the spine, like how into the bone that they put it, but it hurt horribly. At the time, I thought that it would be worth it. Looking back, I don't think it was worth it. I don't think it took enough of the pain away to make that worth it. I seriously was screaming my head off trying to get away from them. And then I started crying, and it took me a good 10 minutes to recover. I was just laying in bed trying not to cry, but the tears were still flowing, and I was just wiping my tears and like going like this and wiping my tears and going like this, and it was really, really painful. I don't know what it did for the pain, because at that point the back labor got worse and worse and worse, and so I don't know if it actually helped or if the pain really would have been worse. I can't imagine that the pain really would have been worse, but at that point I just labored in every position that they told me to get into, because she was posterior, and so they kept having me, you know, try this position, try this position. I tried the birth ball, and I did not like it because it hurt so bad on my whole pelvic floor butt area. It just hurt so bad to put that pressure against it, that I was like, I would bounce on it, but then when I would have a contraction, I was lifting myself off of it, and the midwives were all telling me, no, sit, get that pressure down, put that baby down, but it hurt. I couldn't sit on it. By the time I got to 8 centimeters, I asked if my water was going to be broken, and she said she didn't want to break my water because the baby still needed to turn because she was backwards, and so she wanted to give her that extra room that the water provided. So she didn't break my water. The contractions got really bad, and she checked me and realized that I had a cervical lip. So at about the time where I probably could have been pushing, I had a cervical lip again, which is what I had with my second daughter, which was horribly painful. I didn't want it. And so she basically, for the sake of getting the baby to turn in the right position, and also to get rid of that cervical lip, I couldn't push until the lip was gone. And so she basically said, we're gonna have to just sit here and wait through these contractions. So I had to stay in that transition of labor when I was technically 9.5 centimeters. And I could have pushed if I hadn't had the lip, but but I had to just wait it out. Contraction after contraction after contraction, and they were very hard and very painful contractions. I felt like the baby was boring a hole through my back, like she was trying to pave her own way out through my back. That's what it felt like. And I didn't remember the contractions being that painful with my second daughter in that transition stage. I was doing everything that I could to just get through the contractions, and then I got sick. I started throwing up, I started vomiting, which I've never vomited in any labor either, and I ran to the toilet and just started puking. And so I was having very hard contractions, and I was throwing up, And it got to the point where I was seriously just like, I was on my knees, on the floor, over the toilet, just having my contractions horribly and vomiting and having my, it was just horrible. It was very, very painful. And I just, the whole time I was thinking, never again will I do this. I really was in so much pain and I wanted to die. She offered for me to get in the tub, and so I got into the tub and she checked me. And then she said, let's go ahead and break your water. And so she broke my water, which took a little bit of time because I guess my bag of waters was really thick and she had a hard time breaking it. And so she was inside with one hand, inside with the other hand, and she was doing that for a while. It was really painful. Just any pressure up and in there while you're having contractions, it feels like the worst menstrual cramp you could ever have. Like somebody is just kicking and pounding on your cervix is what it feels like. I mean, that's kind of what a contraction feels like, but like times a billion. But even between contractions, when the midwife is up there doing things, it is just the most gut-wrenching. You just want to get away from it. And so after she broke the water, which I couldn't tell, we were in the water, there was no difference. I didn't feel a difference in contractions. Then she was trying to move the baby and position the baby correctly. And so that took a lot, that was very painful because she just kept her hand in there and whatever she was doing felt like it was pushing it against my cervix. And she was just, I don't know what she was doing. When I was trying to like be patient through it, but after a while I was like, no, this hurts. And then I couldn't do it anymore. And I like kind of like jumped away from her. And she said, I'm not doing it, the baby's doing it. So I don't know how much of it was her and how much of it was the baby. Because if the baby was moving, it felt a lot more painful having her hand in there. So she's trying to get the baby in the right position. It hurt so bad, I got to the point I couldn't let her just keep doing that. And so she had me get out of the water and go lay on the bed so that she could see better what was going on inside. So I had to get out. I felt at this point really like the baby was low. I could tell that just from what was going inside, I was very aware that she had dropped a lot and that she was low. There was a lot of, it's kind of hard to walk. So I tried to lay on the bed on my back, but at that point my back pain was so bad I couldn't even lay on my back. Like when I wasn't having a contraction, it hurt to lay on my back. That by the time I did have a contraction, I was picking myself up, I was kind of rocking to my side. It hurt my back and I just kept saying my back, my back. And so they said, okay, Ariane, we want you to push. Let's have you do a practice push. And I couldn't lay on my back, so they had me lay on my side. So I ended up on my left side. So I was on my side trying to lift my leg up like this. And they were trying to help me. It was a very uncomfortable position to push in. When I did push, I don't know how much it actually helped my back, but when I did push, what it felt like was that I was creating my own back pain. So I would push and I felt like I was pushing the baby out my back. Like that's what it felt like to me. Like it felt very unnatural. It didn't feel good to push. It hurt like crazy to push and I couldn't do it because it hurt so bad that it was just, I would push and create this extreme pain that I couldn't handle and then I didn't want to push anymore. So then they suggested, okay, let's put you on the birth stool and maybe sitting up will take that pressure off your back. So I got on the birth stool, which was really uncomfortable even to relax on a birth stool. If you don't know what a birth stool is, it basically looks like a rectangle, but it's open in the front. And so it's just like half a rectangle. And so you wrap your legs on the side of it and it just leaves your whole inside butt area so that you can have the baby and the midwife can see. It's just, it's very, it's not fancy, it's just a piece of metal with like some padding on it. And so they had me do that and then she wanted me to push. And I had the same problem, a lot of back pain. That was so bad that I realized I can't push. Like I was trying so hard to push through the pain and just get some good power into my push, but I couldn't because it hurt so bad. which didn't happen with my last baby. I was able to push even though it hurt. I was still able to like muster up enough energy to do it. And so after a couple of tries, I finally was like, I can't do this. I can't push her out. I have to go to the hospital because it hurts. Like I couldn't stop screaming because it hurt that bad. Like it was like if somebody was just sawing through your arm, like that's the extent that the pain was. And then they're telling you, no, saw through your own arm and get it off quick. Like that was what it felt like. It hurt so bad, I couldn't do it. And she was like, no, you can't go to the hospital. The baby's like on its way out. And I think, you know, I'd already pushed a couple times, so I'm sure the baby was already kind of in the birth canal. And so it wasn't an option. And I just thought, there's no way, I can't push. Like I couldn't do it. I was trying and I was screaming and it was horrible. And I couldn't feel that the baby was progressing because I didn't feel that I could give a powerful enough push to push the baby through. And so I finally, after a little bit, I was like, it's not moving. The baby's, nothing's happening. I can tell nothing's happening. And they were like, push harder, push harder. And I'm like, I'm trying. I was trying so hard. It was so painful to push. It was just the worst pain ever. That was the most painful thing. I have never felt a pain that intense ever. And I probably never will again. I can't imagine. Finally, it got to where I could feel the baby crowning. And I don't know how it got to that point because I still didn't feel like my pushes were very powerful, but I guess they were through the pain. Our bodies are amazing.